Have you ever felt something was off about someone close to you, but couldn't quite put your finger on it? Their words sound supportive, their actions seem caring, yet something deep inside whispers caution. Today, we explore the ancient wisdom of recognizing hidden jealousy, those subtle signs that reveal when someone secretly resents your light. If this resonates with you, please subscribe and hit that like button. And comment below if this happens to you or if you recognize someone who does this. Your awareness helps others wake up too. When the eyes deceive you, when the words sound beautiful, when the actions seem harmless, there is still one thing that remains uncorrupted. It is the truth behind the energy a person carries. In a world full of masks and performances, understand this deeply. Energy never lies. You must learn to feel before you listen. Before you analyze someone's behavior, learn to observe how their presence shifts your inner space. There are individuals whose words are kind, whose smiles are warm, whose gestures are socially acceptable, and yet something feels off. Something in your gut whispers caution. That is the first and most ancient alarm system, the wisdom of your inner sense. Energy has no costume. It cannot pretend for too long. It does not wear perfume. It does not know how to lie. It simply radiates what it is. And when someone carries darkness within them, even when they try to present light, there will be a disturbance, a restlessness that you feel in your chest, in your breath, in your emotional rhythm. Some people carry an energy that dries the soul. You were laughing before they came into the room, but now you're doubting yourself. You had clarity before you spoke to them, but now you are confused. You were healing, growing, breathing freely, and then they arrived and suddenly your progress feels invalid. Your confidence questioned, your light dimmed. That is not coincidence. That is not imagination. That is the residue of their spiritual weight rubbing off onto yours. Words can be rehearsed. Actions can be manipulated. Smiles can be counterfeit. But energy is the essence of a being. And it echoes the truth of their spiritual alignment. A person can tell you they love you while secretly envying your light. A person can show up for you in public while cursing you in their private heart. Energy does not need translation. It is the soul's language. And your spirit, when uncluttered by noise, always understands it. The mind will argue, the emotions will get attached. The ego will want to prove loyalty. But silence will reveal what logic cannot. Sit with someone in silence and observe how your spirit reacts. Does their presence make your thoughts calm or chaotic? Do you feel more alive or more drained after being with them? Do they leave you with clarity or confusion? These are not shallow indicators. They are signals, sacred signals. Often the demons we encounter do not enter with fire and smoke. They arrive with compliments. They make promises. They wear the face of the familiar. And yet their energy leaves a trail of inner destruction. You are not imagining it when you feel tension around them. You are not being too sensitive when you notice your peace disappearing. You are simply awake. You are simply perceiving what most choose to ignore. There are people who do not want you to rise, not openly, but silently. They smile when you speak of your dreams, but inside they hope you fail. They offer help, but their help carries hooks. Their energy does not celebrate your light. It competes with it. They don't protect your spirit. They feed on it. And you can only detect them when you stop listening to their words and start feeling their essence. Awareness is not paranoia. Sensitivity is not weakness. Spiritual intuition is not superstition. It is survival. You are not being called to judge others, but to discern what you allow into your sacred space. You own no one access to your soul's peace. You own no explanation for trusting your inner knowing, because energy, pure, raw, honest energy, never lies. When you make space for silence, you will see clearly. When you stop rushing to fix, to please, to explain, you will begin to recognize the invisible threats that either nourish or choke your spirit. And when you walk into a room and feel the atmosphere shift, do not dismiss it. There is no greater teacher than energy. It is the voice behind the words, the shadow behind the smile, the truth behind the mask. It speaks always. Whether we are brave enough to listen is the real question. There is a form of darkness that does not roar, does not strike loudly, does not come in storms. It comes quietly. It seeps into conversations. It hides behind jokes. It wraps itself in concern. And yet its nature is parasitic. This is the darkness of consistent manipulation. It begins subtly. A friend or family member questions your memory. That's not what I said, they insist when you know exactly what was spoken. You're being too sensitive, they tell you. When you express that something hurt, you always overreact, they repeat. Whenever you try to address a boundary and over time, something begins to shift. Not in them, but in you. You begin to question yourself. You replay situations in your mind, not once, but over and over. You apologize more often, even when you're not sure what you did. You seek their validation, as though without it, your own sense of truth is incomplete. This is no coincidence. This is no accident. It is the slow erosion of your inner compass by someone who thrives on control, not connection. A manipulator does not need power in obvious ways. They don't raise their voice. They lower your confidence. They don't chain your body. They weaken your belief in your own perception. Manipulation is a spiritual poison. It does not aim to destroy you in one moment. It aims to reshape how you see yourself so that you become easier to control, easier to dominate, easier to silence. If you observe closely, you will notice the pattern. They twist every disagreement so they become the victim. They turn every conversation back to your flaws. They plant doubt in the form of concern. I just worry about the choices you're making. They blur truth with lies so skillfully that after some time, even the strongest minds start to question their own eyes. This is not just a psychological game. It is a spiritual drain. Because manipulation is not about winning a discussion. It is about feeding the ego by shrinking the other person's light. When someone repeatedly diminishes your intuition, when they consistently make you feel guilty for having needs, when they sabotage your growth while pretending to support it, this is not love. This is spiritual warfare in disguise. And the most dangerous manipulators are not loud. They are calculated. They may never insult you openly, but they will constantly suggest that you are less capable, less balanced, less intelligent, less worthy of clarity. They do this so that your dependence on them grows and your trust in yourself fades. You see, if you stop trusting your own decisions, you will rely on theirs. That is how they gain power. Watch for repetition. Manipulation is not a one-time slip. It is a pattern. Do they always deflect responsibility? Do they turn their apologies into weapons? I said I was sorry. What more do you want from me? Do they apologize only when it benefits them? Do they use your vulnerability against you later? Do they create confusion rather than resolution after every conflict? A true companion listens to understand. A manipulator listens to find leverage. A true friend holds space for your emotions. A manipulator uses your emotions to guilt or control you. A loving presence empowers you to think clearly, act freely, and feel safe in your own truth. Manipulative presence forces you to shrink yourself to preserve the peace. That is not harmony. That is silent control. The key is not to react with anger or resistance. The key is awareness. When you become aware of the pattern, the spell begins to break. When you see it for what it is, not love, not care, not confusion, but consistent manipulation, you reclaim your mind. And when the mind is clear, the spirit can no longer be caged.